Action.
Hi, I'm Heather Cox, and this is Theo, and we're going to teach you how to handle rabbits. The first step in handling rabbits is to make sure you're holding them correctly. When you hold them, you want to make sure you support their butt and to hide their eyes. When you hide their eyes, that makes sure that they don't freak out while you hold them. A great rule of thumb is to hold them like a football so that they're nice and supported. The second thing you do for handling is to pose them. He's at the back, I'll move him. Is to pose them. He's really bad at posing. But you want to make sure you research how your rabbit is how your breed of rabbit is supposed to pose on the table so that you can do it correctly when you're doing handling. And first and second year members need to know how to handle their rabbit for the fair, so this is really good for that. The second thing you want to check is their head. You want to make sure that they have the correct head shape for whatever type of rabbit they have, and to make sure that there's generally no wounds or discharge coming from any part of their head. And the second thing you want to check is their ears. You want to make sure when you look in them that there's no mites, and you also want to make sure that they have a tattoo, and his tattoo is in this ear. After the shoulders, you want to check their ribs. It's the same hand position, but you go from behind their shoulders to their hips. And when you feel your rabbit, you can feel where their shoulders end and where their hips end, and that's where their ribs are. The next thing you want to check are their loins. That's kind of like their back. You want to make sure that there's no bumping, and you also want to be able, he's moving, you also want to be able to go straight down. You don't want to have anything hook on your fingers because that means they're too narrow. After that, you want to check their butt. You want to make sure that their hips go down to the table flat and that they don't curve in. You feel him and you feel that he goes straight down to the table. After that, you want to check their fur. Different rabbits have different kinds of fur. There are 2 different types of fur, not including colors, that's a different thing. But there are 2 different types of fur, and it is rollback and flyback. And he's a Holland Lop, so he has rollback fur. So you can see that his fur goes down really slow. But if we got a different rabbit in here, like one of the Californians, you can see that their fur goes back into its original position really quickly, and that's flyback. After you check all of the things that you can see from the top of the rabbit, the next thing you're going to do is flip them over. So when you flip them over, you want to grab both of their ears and hold your hand like this, come around the bottoms, and grab onto them just like this. And then you want to put your hand down and cup his butt so that when you flip him over, he's nice and supported and he feels safe. The next thing you want to check are his eyes. You want to make sure that there's no discharge in his eyes or any discoloration. He's closing his eyes right now, but you can see that his eyes are the correct color and there's no discharge in the corners. After that, you want to check his nose. You should be able to pull it back and see that there is no discharge of any kind in his nose. And after that, you want to pull back his lips just like this and check his teeth. And when you check their teeth, you want to make sure that there are no broken teeth, because broken teeth have health issues related to them. The next thing you want to check on the rabbit is right under their neck. You want to make sure that there's no bumps. And also, if he were a female, it would be called a dewlap, and it would be like a pouch of fat. And you'd want to make sure that there's no abnormalities to that. The next thing you want to check are his legs. You want to make sure you can pull them out to make sure there's no broken bones. You also want to check the pads of his feet to make sure there's no sores. And then if you push on the pad of his foot, you can see that his nails kind of come out. He's got furry feet, so it's hard to see. But you can see that kind of like a cat, the nails come out of his paws. So that would be a great time to cut his nails, is when you push on their foot. I also have my arm resting against his side, and that's a great way to make sure that they feel more comfortable and secure while you're holding them. You're going to do the same to the next foot. I know his legs aren't broken, he's just being rude. When your rabbit flips over like that, when you're holding them, and they eventually will, they just don't like being flipped over like this, but it's totally safe. The only thing you can do is let them do it, because if you keep holding on while they are trying to flip back over, then they're just going to keep kicking you, which is not fun. So you just let him flip back over and then flip him back over so you can keep going. After you check both of his feet, you want to check his stomach again, we're trying to make sure that there's no bumps or lumps on his stomach. After you check his stomach, you want to go to his back feet, and we're going to check these just like the front ones. You want to pull them out to make sure there's no broken bones, and then for these ones, you want to check the pads of their feet, which are a lot longer than their front feet, and you're looking for any sores. Those are called sore hocks, and they're from them rubbing on the wire of their cages too much. So you should treat those when you find them. And then you also want to check their toenails, just like we did the front ones. Again, his feet are really furry, so it's hard to see his toenails, but they are there. And you do the exact same thing for the other foot. Check his toenails, and then check the pads of his feet. And then after that, you want to check and see what sex he is. And he's a boy. You know that for sure. Again, he's really furry. And he's a boy. And then you want to check their tail to make sure that there are no broken things in their tail. To make sure that their tail is the correct length and that it's not crooked. You know, make sure that their tail comes straight down. And then after you check all that, you want to flip them back over. Again, hand under their butt and keep hold of their ears. And then just flip them back over. And that's all. That's all, folks. This has been a brief overview on how to handle rabbits. I hope it helps those of you who are wondering how it works, and I hope to see you at the fair.